This is the Yay or Nay Show with Alex C. A sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. And now, here is Alex C.
All right, here we go. It is the Yay or Nay Show with Alex C, a sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. Man, so many things to talk about. Let's start with Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football was kind of interesting. Everybody in the national media has been talking about the Buffalo Bills. They're the odds-on favorite to go to the Super Bowl. They're supposed to be going and battling the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, although the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have already been slated to be the NFL champs, the Super Bowl champs, a repeat champ. And we all know that I've been saying all season long that the Buccaneers were not the best team in the NFL last year, and they are definitely, without a doubt, not the best team in the NFL this year. Last year's victory was nothing but a fluke, much like the Phoenix Suns. And we're going to get into the NBA here in a little bit too, because I did forget, it escaped my mind. Tonight is opening night for the NBA season. So we'll be talking a little NBA here in a moment. But getting back to the Buffalo Bills and the Tennessee Titans, the game was enlightening. I have been telling you all season long, I'm not a believer in the Bills. I'm not a believer in anything that happened or transpired last year. I'm not a believer in the Super Bowl champs. Last year was a throwaway season. It was nothing but a bunch of scrimmage games that were televised. That's all they were. A bunch of glorified scrimmages, no fans in the stands. You could hear the guys yelling and screaming and having fun and having a good time. They weren't really competing at 100%. I have said it all year long, and I will say it all the way till the day I die because I believe it wholeheartedly. I tried to watch those games. They were impossible to watch with no fans in the stands, with no sense of urgency, with a lot of players that opted out because of COVID, and they had every right to. I don't have a problem or a quarrel with that in any way, shape, or form. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, you did not have a real true season. You're finally having a real true season for the first time in 2 years. So, with that being said, you don't really know what to expect. But if you're going off of what you saw last year, I have said all along that that's a mistake. You shouldn't be doing that. That's what a lot of the national guys are doing. They're going off last year. And, of course, they're saying Buffalo Bills, the best team in the AFC, and they're going to be better than the Chiefs, and the Chiefs will be there, but it's going to be between the Bills and the Chiefs for the AFC. Cleveland on the rise, but, again, it's going to be the Bills and the Chiefs. Now, here's the thing. This is where the national media, as they always do, they got it wrong a million times over. Number one, Kansas City Chiefs aren't going to be there. You paid Patrick Mahomes. Now you find out how good your quarterback is, and he is obviously a quarterback that you cannot put a team on his shoulders and expect him to lead you to the promised land. He can maybe get you to the wild card, but he obviously cannot get you all the way to the promised land. Patrick Mahomes is not that type of quarterback. He has lost a lot of his luster because he doesn't have all of the jewelry around him. He doesn't have all the running backs. He doesn't have all the defense and defenders. He doesn't have all the wide receivers. All those things are now gone. Now it's all on his shoulders. He's not strong enough to put the team on his shoulders and lead them to the promised land. Fact, not fiction. If you're watching it happen, I'm not speculating. Then there's the Buffalo Bills. We're going to get back to them in a minute. They're the main topic, but we're going to get back to them in a minute because then we've got to go to the Cleveland Browns. Everybody said, Cleveland Browns, team on the rise. No, team on the decline. They are going to be a topic of conversation as well, just like the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to try and fit all this in today. Whatever I'm not able to fit in today, I promise you we will get to tomorrow because, again, we got NBA opening night. I do have a big conversation I want to have about the Cowboys. I obviously want to equally have as big of a conversation about the Cleveland Browns, but we first have to start it off now with the main topic that I started with the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Buffalo Bills, the thing about them is this. They are not as good as everybody said. That defense, first of all, they couldn't even stop the Tennessee Titans. Let's talk about the Tennessee Titans. They're a team that we don't know who they are. We don't know how good they are. The one thing we know about the Tennessee Titans is they can only go as far as their running back can take them. Simple. Fact, not fiction. You watched it. Again, if you're going to go by what you saw last year, and if you're going to go by what you saw, and I would say you should go by what you saw 2 years ago, then Derrick Henry is the horse, and he is the one that they rely on to get them anywhere if they're going to go anywhere. and they can only go as far as Derrick Henry can take them. But they have been inconsistent in their play this year. Again, you shouldn't be going off of what you saw last year. I get it. They were a playoff team, but you shouldn't be going off of what you saw last year. I have said all along that's a mistake. And all these national NFL analysts keep saying, go by what you saw last year. No, you should not. As a sports fan, I see it. I know it. I shouldn't be able to predict it better than these NFL analysts who get paid to do this for a living. I find that kind of hilarious, to be completely honest with you. But the bottom line is that they can only go, Tennessee Titans, as far as Derrick Henry can take them, and he's not going to be able to take them very far. They're a very inconsistent football team with a very, 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 very bad defense that can't stop anybody. Even with that being said, with one of the worst defenses, arguably, in the NFL, the Buffalo Bills couldn't beat them. Couldn't beat them. Now, there's a lot of things to be said about this one. There's a ton of things to be said about this one, and we're going to get into it. But the bottom line is the Buffalo Bills could not beat the inconsistent Tennessee Titans, the worst defense, or one of the worst defenses in the NFL, Tennessee Titans. And all they have is a one-dimensional offense in Derrick Henry. Now, granted, he opens it up a little bit for Tannehill, but again, look at the quarterback we're talking about, Tannehill. And if you're talking about who the better quarterback is, supposedly, the Buffalo Bills are supposed to have that advantage hands down. Because arguably, supposedly, Josh Allen is supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, according to all the NFL analysts. Supposedly, allegedly. Again, because they're making the mistake of going off of last year, which is a mistake. They shouldn't be doing it, but they're doing it. But they shouldn't be doing it because that's a huge mistake. And they're being proven wrong because Josh Allen is good. And I'll argue and say he is probably even maybe a top 10. He's closer to 10 than he is to 1. But he's a very good quarterback, and he's in the top 10. Again, closer to 10 than to 1. But the rest of the team around him isn't all that in a bag of chips. So for everybody who said how great Buffalo is, they're still trying to rally the troops. They're still trying to say, oh, they're still great. They're going to be fine. There's nothing wrong. Look, they're going to be fine. They got a shot to win their division. Okay? They're in a bad division. Who do they got? The Patriots, the Jets, the Dolphins. So it's not like they have any competition in their division. So they're in the position that the New England Patriots have been in over the last 2 decades. A very easy division with a bunch of bad teams. That's where the Buffalo Bills are. Again, an easy division with a bunch of bad teams. So the Bills are going to make the playoffs. They don't even have to worry about making the playoffs. So in that respect, the national media guys will be able to save their butts in regards to their wrong analysis of Buffalo because of that. And because they're in the bad division, they're guaranteed 6 victories, right? Jets suck. Patriots suck. Who do you got? Dolphins suck. Just like the Patriots have had enjoying the fact that they are going to beat each one of the teams in their division 2 times, automatically giving them 6 wins, and all they got to do is find 4 victories outside of their division, which most teams should have the ability to do, even if you're just halfway decent. You got a 10-win season on the way. So Buffalo will get their 10 wins, and they'll maybe get more. They'll win the division. They got a pretty light schedule, to be honest. They don't have a lot of challenges in their schedule to begin with. It's not really a top-heavy schedule. And the NFL analysts will be able to save their butts because, again, the Bills will make the playoffs. They're going to say, see, we told you all along they're good. But again, are the Buffalo Bills a deep threat, one that you have to worry about going to the Super Bowl? At this point, here's the problem with analyzing all this to begin with. First of all, everybody goes too far with it. It's too early to say who's going to win the Super Bowl. It's too early to say who's going to be a deep threat. But if you're going to talk about where we are at this point in the season, there are a couple of standout teams, and then there's kind of everybody else. Like when you see all these power lists, power rankings, top 10, top 15, top 20, I don't agree with any of that. Top 5 makes sense, but I don't see why you'd go anywhere above the top 5. It's too early in the season. You got a lot of inconsistency. You're going to need to see more of a sample size to know what all of these teams are even about. So when you're looking at the Buffalo Bills, are they a team that has separated themselves in the AFC from everybody else? No. Are they potentially a team that could separate themselves from everybody else? Well, yes, and I could make that argument for a whole lot of teams, not just Buffalo. But at this point, I would make the argument, yes. It's just like everybody on the national media side saying the Chargers, oh, they're one of the best. They're one of the top three. Well, again, I've said all along I'm not a believer in the Chargers either. Why? Because they're inconsistent. And they just got blown out and blown up by the Ravens. So when you look at all these teams, you got to look at who is, A, the most consistent, B, who's going to be playing the hottest in the second half of the season, because that is when it matters the most. That's when you're talking about teams making a playoff run, trying to get their berth in the wild card, or trying to finish and win the division and then make a run for the Super Bowl. So the second half of the season is ultimately important. And this early in the season, to try and say that there's all these breakaway teams, again, I think it's a mistake. But if you're going to say, national media, that the Buffalo Bills are one of the top teams in the AFC and that they are a Super Bowl contender, and that you think, like I heard today, that it's going to be Buffalo and Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl, well, there's two teams you have wrong right off the bat. Because I said before the season ever started, my big, bold prediction was Tampa Bay is not going to be in the Super Bowl. They are not going to be repeat Super Bowl champs. And there's no doubt about that in my mind, and I still stand with it. But then, of course, you got a lot of people that haven't necessarily jumped off Tampa Bay, but now they like the fact that they could talk about the Cowboys a little bit. But we're going to get into that in a minute, because that's another mistake that the national media is making. Buffalo, though, again, not really impressed by him. They didn't do anything last night to make me feel that I'm wrong in my opinion about Buffalo. Tennessee ran it up and down. That supposed top 5 defense in the NFL sure looked like a high school defense to me. They couldn't stop anything, and they couldn't stop Ryan Tannehill. Let's talk about that for a moment. The quarterback is Ryan Tannehill, and this supposed alleged great defense of the Buffalo Bills couldn't stop Ryan Tannehill. When have you ever heard Ryan Tannehill be somebody who's a threat in a game of football at the NFL level? He has been nothing but a traveling quarterback. A traveling quarterback. That's what he's been. A journeyman. A journeyman. And he made the Buffalo Bills defense look like a high school defense last night. They looked absolutely pathetic. And this is supposedly a Super Bowl team with that pathetic of a defense. That defense for the Buffalo Bills is about as good as the defense for the Kansas City Chiefs. Neither one of them is very good. Neither one of them can stop anybody. And they are both the liability and the reason why neither one of those teams can go in if they were to make it to the Super Bowl. And I don't think either one of them could. But if they went into the Super Bowl, they are the reason why both of those teams, if they made the Super Bowl, would probably lose the Super Bowl, because those defenses are so pathetic. So for the Buffalo Bills to have a defense that's that pathetic, and to say that they are a team of destiny to go to the AFC Championship and potentially win the Super Bowl, I don't know what these NFL analysts are watching and these former NFL players are watching, because that, to me, doesn't make sense. No way, no how does that make sense. That defense for Buffalo hasn't played anybody all year, and yesterday they still arguably really didn't play anybody, because Tennessee really, to me, hasn't proven themselves yet. But Derrick Henry is a proven commodity, and he ran up and down that real estate with no problem at all. And he showed you that if you put any kind of a good running game up against that Buffalo Bills defense, that Buffalo Bills defense is weak, and they can't stop anybody on the run. And arguably, they can't stop anybody on the pass, because, again, they got thrown on by Ryan Tannehill. We're not talking about a good quarterback. We're talking about a towards the bottom of the NFL quarterback in Ryan Tannehill, a guy that you asked to throw 120 to 180 yards a game, because most of the offense is going to come in the run game, and because Derrick Henry is the offense. And that team, again, is going to go as far as Derrick Henry can take them. So I'm not really understanding what these NFL guys are saying when it comes to Buffalo. Then let's talk about the decision to go for it on 4th down when you could have simply tied the game and went into overtime. First of all, that play that they tried to run, if you've watched Buffalo play this year, the way that he tried to run up under center and then just snap the ball and do a quarterback sneak, that's not even the style of play that Buffalo runs. It's like they just tried it in the past week, threw it in and said, let's try it and see what happens if we run into this scenario. That's more of a style of play that you'd see from the Cardinals, the 49ers, or the Rams. That's their style of play. But Buffalo doesn't play that style. And to run up and do that, first of all, it was predictable. As soon as you saw him go under center, you knew what they were going to do. Jamming the box wasn't hard. They jammed the box. And again, one of the worst defenses in the NFL jammed the box and stopped allegedly one of the most potent offenses in the NFL. Allegedly, one of the most potent offenses in the NFL got stumped by arguably one of the worst defenses in the NFL in the Tennessee Titans. And you lose the game because your offense, that is supposed to be one of the best, got stopped by a defense that is supposed to be one of the worst. And whose fault is it? Is it the players' fault? You could try and say that. You could try and say that they didn't execute the play the way they were supposed to. But again, it was an easy read. You just jammed the box, and you had more than a 60, 70% chance of stumping the offense, which is what happened. So, bad coaching. And I saw a lot of bad coaching. And then, if you're going to talk about Josh Allen and being so great, let's talk about the interceptions. Let's talk about the overthrows. Let's talk about the throws he missed, and he missed wildly for a guy who's supposed to be the greatest. And they still tried to say how excellent he played last night. And I'll give him a grade of an A minus, not an A, not an A plus, but an A minus. I'll give him a grade of an A, but to use the word excellent, I didn't see anything excellent. Again, he's supposed to be able to move the ball against one of the worst teams in the NFL as far as defense goes. He's supposed to be able to score touchdowns against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. But here's what he's supposed to do that he didn't do. He's supposed to win the game going up against one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and he didn't do that. That's on Josh Allen, as well as the bad coaching, but it's more on him than the bad coaching. Absolutely more on him than the bad coaching. So again, for all these NFL analysts, and they're still trying to say, don't worry, Buffalo's going to be fine, and they are. They're in one of the worst divisions in football. They're going to win all their divisional games. They only need to win 4, maybe 5, but really 4 out-of-division games, and they're going to win the division, make the playoffs. So, yeah, technically they don't have anything to worry about. But it's not because they're great. It's not because they're good. It's because they're in one of the worst divisions. They got easy victories coming. But again, I measure teams by a different standard than what national media does, obviously. Now let's move on to the Dallas Cowboys. Man, I spent a lot of time on these Buffalo Bills. Dallas Cowboys, this is something I tried to get to yesterday. Again, another team that on the NFC side, you got all these national media guys, as you do every year, and it all starts before the season ever starts. Oh, Dallas, they look so good. Oh, all the roster moves they made in free agency. Oh, all the guys they got in the draft. Oh, they got the best quarterback in the NFL. It's the same garbage you've been hearing for the last 25 years, and it's never come to fruition. And this year, it still hasn't come to fruition. They're jumping up and down because they beat the New York Giants? Really? That's a big deal. They're jumping up and down because they beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, here's another team in another bad division where you got the Eagles. Wow. You got the Giants. Wow. You got the Washington football team. Wow. There's 6 easy victories. So all the Cowboys, like the Buffalo Bills, have to do is get 4 out-of-division victories because they're pretty much guaranteed to win all the games in their division because they are in the worst division in football, the NFC East. And Dallas will make the playoffs because they're going to win their division. Not because Dallas is great, even though these guys are trying to tell you how great they are. They're not. They're not one of the odds-on favorites or the best ones that are going to be a deep threat to make the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl because they're not. They're good enough to win their division. They got a weak schedule. They don't play a lot of strength teams. They got a weak schedule, and they've always had the advantage of playing a weak schedule, and they'll make the playoffs. But I would argue they're a first-round knockout if they make the playoffs. Again, because You got a quarterback that is equal to Tony Romo. So you have what you've always had for a very long time in Dak Prescott. You've got a weak running game. I don't care what they say about the running game. Oh, they look so great. It's easy to look great when you're going against the Eagles and the Giants. Oh, and who did you beat last week? Oh, and you barely beat them? Oh, it's a team called the Patriots. And you barely beat them. You had to go to overtime to beat a rebuilding team like the Patriots. But here's the funny part. This is why I was so interested to talk about this Cowboy team, because it's more about the Cowboy game they just got done playing. So the Cowboys played the Patriots, and so that the media doesn't look bad, because the Cowboys looked bad going against, again, a rebuild team in the Patriots, they talk them up. Oh, they got one of the best coaches in the NFL. Oh, every time it's the Cowboys versus the Patriots, you just know it's going to be a Patriots win and a Cowboys loss. You just know that that's a game that the Cowboys can't win and they're just going to lose. And in years past, it's always been the case, and the Cowboys always lose that game because the Patriots are always able to take advantage and exploit the Cowboys in their weaknesses, and Bill Belichick coaches them up and they end up winning. Okay. Well, and while technically, because they're only telling you half the story so that they can try and look good in regards to what the national media is telling you. And again, half the story. Now, here I come with the whole story so you get the whole truth, so you actually understand what's going on. Not that you don't understand, because I'm sure a lot of you do. And then there's some that don't. And then there's some that don't pay that much attention. So you're just getting the information now. And I get it. I understand it. So bottom line is, so they talk up Bill Belichick, they talk up the Patriots, they talk about how the Cowboys traditionally lose this game. They know going up against the Patriots is going to be tough. And this year, because this Cowboys team is different, they're finding ways to win these games. Again, you beat the Giants. Wow. You beat the Eagles. Wow. You had to go to overtime to beat the Patriots, a team on a rebuild. Let's get to the whole story now. Let's tell you the story that the NFL national media won't tell you, so they don't look bad as they try and build up the Cowboys and act like they know something when they really don't. Because the bottom line is this. You cannot tell me that the Cowboys are great when they had to go to overtime to beat a team in rebuild with a rookie quarterback, FYI. Oh, and by the way, who's supposed to have the better quarterback? Dak Prescott, Mac Jones. So supposedly, the quarterback comparison should go in Dak's favor tremendously, right? Tremendously. There should be a huge advantage for the Cowboys, which means you should have an easy victory over your opponent in the New England Patriots, going up against a rookie quarterback making actual starts as a rookie. And supposedly, you, the Dallas Cowboys, have one of the best defenses, top 10 wise in the NFL, according to these NFL national analysts. And again, something that, once again, they got it wrong, but they're going to try and convince you that they got it right. But let me tell you how they got it wrong. Did you see the game against the Patriots? Did you see them not have the ability to stop the lowly rebuilding first-year quarterback Mac Jones and the New England Patriots? Did you see that happen? I watched it happen. So quarterback for quarterback, if Dak couldn't look impressive going against Mac Jones, and he didn't, then don't try and tell me how Dak Prescott is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, because he's not. And in the other half, don't tell me how you got one of the best defenses in the NFL in the Dallas Cowboys, but you couldn't stop a team on the rebuild with a rookie quarterback, Mac Jones, and the New England Patriots. Again, they tell you the parts of the story they want to tell you so they can make it sound like they're intelligent and they know what they're talking about, when in fact they don't. Because again, they're getting it wrong. Because the Dallas Cowboys don't have one of the best defenses in the NFL. You saw that displayed against a rookie quarterback and a team on a rebuild in the New England Patriots. And they don't have the best quarterback, because against a defense that is just really a bunch of no-names, you could call it the no-name defense, really, because the Patriots defensively are not that great. All right, they haven't been stopping people all year long, and yet you had to go to overtime to beat the lowly New England Patriots. And yet these guys act as if they just beat the team with Tom Brady and all the weapons that the Patriots have traditionally had, and that something was different about the Cowboys this year, and they're just finding ways to win games that normally they would lose, because the Cowboys are definitely different and better this year. No, they're not. Lowly Patriots, team on the rebuild, no Tom Brady, rookie quarterback, and you had to go to overtime to win. So that pretty much disqualifies everything that every one of these NFL national analysts has said about the Dallas Cowboys and them being one of the top 3 or top 5 teams in the NFL. And then to always continuously put the Cowboys above the Cardinals, an undefeated team, and say that the Cardinals could not compete and they're the only undefeated team and they couldn't compete against the Cowboys. Now that's mystifying to me. How you could say that kind of blasphemy amazes me. To try and say that the Cowboys are so great, and even though they've got, 2 losses, that they are better than everybody else. Even the undefeated Cardinals, who beat the Rams, a victory that the Cowboys have yet to pull off. A victory that the Cowboys have yet to play a team that's of that high of a caliber. And the team allegedly that is that high of a caliber of the Rams is supposed to be allegedly the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, even though I say it's not, but according to the national guys, it is. The Cowboys lost that game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So how can you say the Cowboys are the best and yet they couldn't beat Tampa Bay? Cardinals beat the Rams, who are, in my opinion, right now, in all honesty, they are the best team in football right now. And you continue to say that the undefeated team is not as good as your Cowboys. It's like these guys, they're either Cowboy fans or the networks tell them they have to be pro-Cowboy, or the NFL themselves tell everybody they have to be pro-Cowboy. I'm not sure what it is, but it's amazing to me. You disrespect the Cardinals, and I'm not a Cardinals fan. I'm a 49ers fan, and I'm not talking up the Cardinals because I hate the Cowboys. I'm just keeping it 100. You disrespect the Cardinals, who are undefeated, and say they can't compete against the Cowboys because the Cowboys are so hot. But the Cardinals are the ones that beat Cleveland, even though Cleveland is not all that, and we'll have that discussion next. But they beat Cleveland. They beat Minnesota. They beat the Rams. The Cowboys beat Washington, the Giants, the Eagles, and the Patriots. Wow. Impressive. And these guys want to feed you the garbage how the Cowboys are the hottest team in the NFL. I don't know. Again, maybe they're told by their networks they have to be that way. Maybe they're told by the NFL they have to be that way. I'm not really sure. But you cannot tell me and the millions and millions of NFL fans that are out there that know better by just watching the games that at this point in the season, the Cowboys are better than the Cardinals. Because if I were to watch a game between the Cowboys and the Cardinals right now, and if I were laying a bet in Vegas, I would take the money on the Cardinals all day long. Easily, I would take the Cardinals over the Cowboys. I would take the Rams over the Cowboys. We saw Tampa Bay beat the Cowboys, and I'm not even big on Tampa Bay, but I would bet my money on Tampa Bay over the Cowboys. I would bet my money on the 49ers over the Cowboys. I would bet my money with Russell Wilson, the Seahawks, over the Cowboys. And yet these guys in the national media try to tell you how the Cowboys are the best team in the NFC, and possibly if Tampa Bay is not going to be the ones to go to the Super Bowl, it would be at this point the Dallas Cowboys going to the Super Bowl. That's a bunch of garbage. And again, I don't know why they do this. They do it all the time. They do it every year. It's amazing to watch these guys get it wrong. And they don't backpedal. They don't back down. They continue to try and sell you all this garbage that they try to sell you in regards to the Cowboys being the best team. And they're not. They're not. And I think tomorrow what I'm going to do, it's tough. And I've never been a fan of lists. I talk about the lists. I go over the lists that the 4-letter network puts out all the time. And I tell you whether a team should be up or down or where they should be. But the thing to me about the list is, again, it really shouldn't go past the top 5, because I believe when you talk about 5 to the rest, it's too early in the season to go top 10. You got to see what other teams are going to do. You got to watch for injuries. You got to watch out for trades, and you got to watch out for who gets hot. And those types of things don't typically happen till the middle of the season. And that's when you could really build a top 10. But if you want to talk top five, I believe in top five. But to make all these lists and to change all these lists all the time and then base it off of one victory over a bad team like the Cowboys beating the Patriots, like the Cowboys beating the Giants, like the Cowboys beating the Eagles, and then off of those crappy victories, try and say that those crappy victories show you and prove to you how this is a different and a better Cowboy team, and they're just finding ways to win games. Okay. First of all, if you have to find ways to win games against some of the worst teams in football, the Patriots, the Giants, the Washington football team, and the Eagles, and you have to find ways to win, that means you're not a very good football team to begin with, because a good football team would get those victories because you're supposed to win against those bad teams. If you're having to find a way to win against those bad teams, that just means you're not a good team. That proves my point, not the lies that the NFL national guys are trying to feed you. Let's move on to the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to run over time today. My producer's going to kill me. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Cleveland Browns, look, I thought that Cleveland, and again, I don't base anything off of what happened last year. Last year was a throwaway football season. You'll always hear me say that from day one. But if I go off 2 years ago, the trades, what you see on paper roster-wise, what looks to be one of the more impressive coaching units that you've seen in Cleveland, because, again, they don't really get good coaches in Cleveland. It looked like they had one, as you watched this team grow. But now that you look at Cleveland, now that you look at a long history of what's been going on with them, and we are pretty deep into the season where you can kind of start to see where they're going, how they're going to progress, if they're going to progress or are they going to regress. And I make the argument for regress. My point is this. Cleveland is the team they've always been. They're the team that, unfortunately, and I know Brown fans are going to hate me when I say this, Cleveland is the team that needs to have their fans go back to putting the brown bags on their heads. They are that team again. They are back to being who they've always been. They are a bad football team. They are simply a bad football team going backwards. They didn't get beat down by the Cardinals because the Cardinals are a completely superior team. That was Cleveland being Cleveland. They get a quarterback. Everybody tries to tell you that that's the quarterback of the future. That's the guy. And then you find out he's not. And the rest of the team ends up being what the team's always been, which is bad. That's what Cleveland is. That's what you saw on Sunday when they played the Cardinals. It was a bad showing by a bad team. Because, again, the Cardinals are not this superior team that just blew up Cleveland, and Cleveland supposedly is a great team, but they got blown up because they got blown up by a superior team. No, it's not what happened. Cleveland's a team that's on the way down, and they're a team that has traditionally been bad, and they're back to being bad. It's time for fans to put bags back on their heads and show up to the stadium and be ready to get beat down every week, because the Browns are back, folks. And when I say the Browns are back to what we've always known the Cleveland Browns to be. Bad. There's no way around it. And for the simple argument of should they or should they not pay Baker Mayfield because this is his contract year, and some could make the argument, and some have, especially people that I've talked to, could make the argument that Baker's feeling the pressure, trying to play his way into a big contract. And let's face it, if that's the case, he blew that deal a long time ago, because there's no way in the world you can tell me that Cleveland sees what they need to see to make him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. There's no way in the world he deserves Dak Prescott money. And he's not that caliber of a quarterback. He's just not. He is an above average quarterback. He can be a good quarterback, but he's the type of quarterback that you got to save money on him, because you need a bunch of weapons. And the weapons that you have that are there right now with him, you got to figure out what the problem is. Is it him, or is it the receivers that are the issue? Because you could tell they're not on the same page on a lot of plays. And is it him missing reads? Because I've seen And I watched it again this Sunday against the Cardinals where there were wide open players that he could have thrown the ball to, and potentially they would have been long run home runs, and they would have easily scored on a bunch of different plays, but he never found or saw the wide open receiver. And is it because they're running the wrong route? Is it because the Browns are having too many busted plays? Is it because Baker Mayfield's under too much pressure? These are things that the general manager and his staff really got to go through the tape and start to look at. And they really got to try and figure this out, because it's something that you really have to try and figure out. Because, again, there were a lot of wide open receivers, and they could have been home runs. They could have been slamming a lot of touchdowns, but he never got them the ball. Is it because they're not on the same page? Is Baker just that bad of a quarterback that he can't go through the progressions quick enough and find the open receiver? Is he under too much pressure because that offensive line is not as good as everybody says it is? Or is everybody just blitzing him and Baker cracks under pressure? Again, and I've listed a couple of things that would knock a lot of money off the money you should be giving to Baker Mayfield if a couple of those scenarios are in fact true. And if he's not on the same page with these wide receivers, then you've got to make a change in wide receivers. You got to bring in some other ones, and you better hope that Baker Mayfield can get on the same page. And if he cannot get on the same page with a new set of receivers, then it's time to get rid of Baker Mayfield. Or maybe it's time to get rid of Baker Mayfield now. Maybe the receivers, because they are pretty dang good, maybe the receivers deserve a better quarterback, and maybe it's just time to make that change now. There is without a doubt a lot of work that the general manager for Cleveland needs to do. He's got a lot of evaluating, a lot of homework to do, a lot of things to decide, a lot of decisions to be made, and he's got to try and figure out which decisions are going to be the best for his team. Is the quarterback the problem? Are the receivers the problem? Is the offensive line the problem? Do I need to make a switch at quarterback? Do I need to get a couple of new receivers, shore up my offensive line? What about my defense, which isn't playing up to par? On paper, they should be performing way better than they do, and they're not. Why not? There's a lot of things going on with Cleveland. And just because they are bad and they're back to being the Cleveland Browns that we've always known doesn't mean that they can't, within one season, 2 seasons tops, be in the playoffs, because they got some questions to answer, but they're not really that difficult of questions. They are ones that evaluation-wise are difficult. It's going to take time to figure out which direction you want to go as a team. What decisions you want to make are obviously going to determine the direction, and you got to make the determination in regards to what your direction is going to be. But arguably, you could make the moves to get you into the playoffs within the next 1 to 2 years. That's, to me, pretty simple to see. Do you have the general manager that has the ability to do that? Well, there's the question that has to be answered. I don't have a thought on that one way or the other. Not at this point. I haven't done enough studying and haven't paid enough attention, so I don't know. But Cleveland is the team who they've always been. And the Dallas Cowboys are not the team of destiny. They haven't beat anybody. And again, I named about 4 or 5 teams that are better in the NFC, and it didn't take me long to name 4 or 5 teams. And that's just off the top of my head. So we've talked about a lot of football. I'm going to leave it at that for now, football-wise. Now we're going to go to the NBA, another topic where I'm going to make a lot of people mad, especially here in Phoenix where I live. But thank heavens we don't got to talk about the Suns till tomorrow, because their opening night's tomorrow. But tonight, Nets and the Bucks open it up. Warriors and the Lakers open it up. The first game is the Nets and the Bucks. Again, national media guys trying to say that, well, I shouldn't say that all the national media guys. Certain ones that have tried to give people the illusion that they were Milwaukee Buck fans before the Bucks won the championship, and they were not. This individual that I'm thinking of, briefly said that he believed in the Bucks, and then as soon as they started to lose, he got off them and said he was wrong. And then after the Bucks win the championship, he tried to say how he was always on their side. Love this guy. He's great at trying to manipulate the facts. But the bottom line is, Bucks and the Nets, I said my big bold prediction for the NBA was, as long as health is not an issue, the Brooklyn Nets will be the NBA champs, and I stand by that, and I believe in that. And I believe it all starts tonight. And I believe the Nets will beat the Bucks to prove the point. And that's without Kyrie Irving. And then there's the Kyrie Irving mess, but we won't talk about that. It gets political and it gets into stuff that I don't want to get into. But the bottom line is, even without Kyrie Irving, Nets would beat the Bucks. The Bucks, just like the Suns, and I'll say it now since it's opening night, and I'll say it again tomorrow for the Suns opening night. The Bucks, just like the Suns, walked their way into the NBA Finals. Neither one of them had to play anybody because the NBA gods knocked out all the stars on all the would-be opposing teams. So all the Bucks and all the Suns had to do was walk their way into the NBA Finals. Neither one of them earned their trip to the NBA Finals. Fact, not fiction. Here's another thing that's fact, not fiction. Again, because I know some people are going to say, no, injuries are a part of it. It's the way it's always been. Yes, it is. But never in the history of the NBA. Never, ever, ever. And you can work your butt off to point me wrong, and you won't be able to do it, because never in the history of the NBA has there ever been a season where all of the stars from all of the would-be opposing teams, the actual stars of the would-be opposing teams, were knocked out, and only one team in the West and only one team in the East stay healthy, and all they got to do is walk their way in to the NBA Finals. And neither one of those teams was preseason predictions, mid-season predictions to win the NBA Finals or even get to the NBA Finals. Why? Because both of these teams were playoff teams, maybe, but the bottom of the list playoff teams. And they walked their way into the NBA Finals because all of the teams that were easily better than both of them had all their stars get injured. These two teams stayed healthy, and the Bucks and the Suns were able to walk, not earn, their way into the NBA Finals. And tonight, I believe the Nets will beat the Bucks. And even if they don't, it doesn't matter. It's a long season. But I do believe, just to prove the point, that the Nets will make sure they win tonight's game so everybody understands they're back and that they are the team of destiny to win the NBA Finals. Then on the other side, Warriors, Lakers, the laughable Lakers. That's what I'm going to call them all year long, the laughable Lakers. All the national media guys trying to say that this team of old players who have never achieved anything in their careers as far as NBA greatness. And when I say greatness, I mean, taking teams to the playoffs, being the reason why they're in the playoffs, being the reason why they're a threat to make it to the NBA Finals. A bunch of old guys who were good players individually, but never really made a team better, never really made a team a competent team that you would worry about playing in the playoffs because they are a team of destiny to go to the NBA Finals. The only credible player on that team, the laughable Lakers, that is a player that made teams better and made them a threat to go to the NBA Finals is LeBron James. Everybody else on that roster is old, just a marquee name, a bunch of players that really nobody else wanted. Russell Westbrook doesn't play well with others. He's not going to play well with the Lakers. He can outrun them anyways. Everybody's too old to hang with Russell Westbrook on his own team because he's going to be too youthful, too energetic, and he's going to burn himself out by the fourth quarter of the season like he always does, and he'll be out of gas. He's not a good outside shooter to begin with. He's horrible. All he is a baseline-to-baseline player who gets inside and gets some layups. But again, he'll be burnt out by the fourth quarter of the season like he is every year. He'll have no gas, and he'll be just like the rest of the old guys. No gas, and all these old guys are going to run out of gas by midseason. And for all these national media guys that are saying that the Lakers are an odds-on favorite to win the NBA championship, that is hilarious to me. That is another easy, big, bold prediction that I can make. The LA Lakers will not make the NBA Finals, and the LA Lakers will not be the NBA champs at the end of this basketball season. That is the most laughable thing I have been listening to for a long time from all these national media guys on how the Lakers are the odds-on favorite to win. Even over the Brooklyn Nets, they are the odds-on favorite to win the NBA title. No, they're not. Maybe in your weird minds, maybe because you're friends with all these players, maybe because you like all these players, and name-wise, there's a lot of good players, but they're too old. They don't play well together. Carmelo Anthony's never made a team a threat. You can't name anybody outside of LeBron James that has made a team a threat to win the NBA Finals. Not even Anthony Davis, because remember, he was with the Pelicans for years. Did he ever, on his own by himself, make the Pelicans a threat to go to the NBA Finals and win the NBA Finals? The only player on this old roster of the Lakers is LeBron James, and he's too old now as well. So you got a bunch of old guys. They're all going to be in wheelchairs by midseason, except for Russell Westbrook. But he'll need an oxygen mask by the fourth quarter of the season because he's going to run out of energy and air like he always does each and every season because he runs himself out of his own shoes. And the Lakers, at best, will be the 6th or 7th seed. Maybe they might surprise me and make the 4 seed, but they're probably going to be the 6th or 7th seed. So that's what I see happening with the NBA season. We're going to talk, obviously, now that we're into the season, a lot more NBA. We got a lot more football to talk about, but I definitely got through a lot of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. Still got more to go, but I'm already over on time today. So tomorrow we will pick it up from here. We'll go through the results of the NBA, and we'll talk about a couple of the other things that I wanted to talk about, plus go over a couple of the yay or nay questions that have come back on the Twitter page. If you want to answer some of the yay or nay questions, by the way, make sure you go to @YayOrNayPodcast. That's the address of the Twitter page. Answer those questions, as well as if you would like to be a guest on the podcast, all you got to do is send me a message on Twitter as well. I'd be more than happy to have you on. You guys have a great day. We'll talk tomorrow.